All right, let's try this again, ladies and gentlemen. I put my camera in a different port on my machine, so hopefully that will fix the issue. And if it does not, well, then I don't really know what to do. Aside from starting over again. Okay. All right. Got my music. Got my chat. My microphone. Maybe a little loud. Okay. Twitch. I am streaming, right? Yeah, I am streaming. How's the lag look? It still says I'm not streaming. Why does it say I'm not streaming? I am streaming. Alright, there, finally. I pressed the start streaming button like a minute and a half ago. And I'm just now seeing it. Okay, now I'm on. Alright. Alright, the streaming button like a minute and a half ago. Yeah. And I'm just now seeing it. Looks like the lag is good. Is the lag fixed? Yeah. Looks like the lag is good. Is the lag fixed? Yeah, I see. I know you have some feedback, and that's okay. I'm testing things right now myself because this is a new experience for me. Well, it's actually not a new experience for me. For those of you who have watched the program for quite some time, you know that back in the good old days, we had quite a few technical glitches and issues. But they should now all be resolved, for I have a better internet connection than I did back in the old days. And I just purchased a new graphics card, which should process everything more smoothly, which, as you can imagine, leads to significant consternation when this doesn't work the way I want it to. Okay, no lag, no feedback, I'm well lit. And we're good to go with the show. Blacktiff says, oh, what gapoo. And by GPU, he means GPU. I use an AMD 300 series. And the reason for that is because I originally bought it in NVIDIA 900 series. And it wouldn't work with my machine. I don't know if I just got a lemon. Bob the Lord says, online after 300 years. You, sir, are incorrect. Online after 7 days. I do this show every week, my friend. In case you don't know. Anyway, I originally purchased and installed an NVIDIA 900 series because I wanted to play Fallout at maximum fidelity. Yeah, that's right. I bought a video card just for Fallout. I know. What's wrong with me? I'm a barbarian. Anyway, I bought the NVIDIA one and I installed it. Black screen. Nothing. I started looking at all of these online topics, trying to figure out how to get it to how to fix it. And they're saying things like, well, you need to update your BIOS and blah, 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 blah. And I literally tried, I spent like 3-4 hours one day just doing nothing but trying to get that video card to work, and it didn't work. So on an offhand chance that it was the video card and not these fat, clumsy fingers that were at fault, I returned it and purchased an AMD 300 series instead. Ghoulbreath says, hey Oxhorn, not to blow my own horn, but I turned 18 today. Woot. Lol. Well, congratulations, Ghoulbreath, to you. 18 is a significant number. You are officially an adult as far as Americans are concerned. Which means you could, if you wanted to, legally go out and get one of these bad boys. Not that I'm suggesting that you do. I am definitely not. All things in their appropriate time is my philosophy. Not necessarily right now. Blacktip says, did you try voodoo, witchcraft, or sacrificing a chicken? I tried all three of those things. My NVIDIA card was soaked in the blood of chickens and witchcraft voodoo things, totems and whatever, when I returned it. And nothing really worked. So anyway, to make a long story short, I bought an AMD 300 series, which is still a top-of-the-line card, and it worked out of the box. Now, I did have to do a few things. I had to upgrade to the latest drivers, and then I had to roll back one in order to fix graphical issues in Fallout, and even still I'm experiencing weird particle effects when it comes to the God rays in Fallout 4. So, it's not perfect, but I can play the game. And I can play it on more than 30 FPS. I can play it on 60 FPS. This is the first time in my life that I'm playing a game at 60 FPS. Ever. When I was playing Fallout 4, when I streamed Fallout 4 for all of you, I was getting 15 to 17 FPS. I know. Now that I'm more educated about these things, that just seems atrocious to me. But I was trying to host an entertainment program product by streaming Fallout 4 at 15 FPS, which is what I was doing. Anyway, now I can stream at 60 FPS. I should probably update the My Rig section of Scotch and Smoke Rings, because I've changed a few things. But Aero Civica says, in defense of NVIDIA, I had the same problem with AMD. 265 it was, I guess, and went for NVIDIA to save myself nerves. Look, I've been... Aero Civic says, 300 series? Could you be more specific with the number? Yes. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I have a nice little program on my computer installed called Specky. And Specky is going to tell me everything about my system that you could possibly want to know. Anyway, look, all of the forums and, you know, PC Master Race Reddit stuff that I've been reading in order to get my PC up to snuff has been telling me that NVIDIA is actually better suitable for Fallout 4. So I'm actually really bummed that my NVIDIA card didn't work. But I'm also thankful that the AMD one did. Okay, I am using an AMD Radeon R9 390 series. 8,192 megabytes, so 8 gigs. Andy the DK says, how are you this fine evening, Oxhorn? I'm doing very well. I had a nice, long, but good, productive day at work today. My boss is, well, he's working on filling out some technical legal documents, and the documents require a lot of descriptions about the company, and I have the opportunity to sit down and write them. But it's a lot of content origination, so I got to do a lot of creative writing today, which was fun. It was a good opportunity. But I'm glad to not be writing right now. The Fancy Factor says, how's the family doing, Oxhorn? The Fancy Badger is... the family is... Scotch. I need Scotch. Where's my Scotch? The family's doing fine. Here, I got some new Scotch I want to show you guys. Hold on. Family's doing fine. They're upstairs. Recovering after a hard day. It wasn't a hard day, it was just a long day. For them as well, you know. Gavin had school, and then they all went to my brother's house to play with his daughter. So all the kids got together. My little niece, Liliana, she's going to be 6 months. She's more than 6 months. No, she's over a year old now, man. What's wrong with me today? She just celebrated her first birthday back in December. Anyway, they got to play with the kids, so they've had a nice long day today, which is good. The kids were all napping when they came home. Alright, I've got a new Scotch. Well, I purchased 2 new scotches because I hadn't tried either of them and I wanted to try them out. First, I got the black bottle. This is a blended Scotch whiskey, carefully crafted. This is a smooth, well-balanced, and rewarding blend. I've been sipping on it a little bit. I've taken a few sips, and it's a decent Scotch for a blended Scotch. But then I found this. It's called Monkey Shoulder. I've never tried it before. Now, many of you aficionados have probably tried Monkey Shoulder before, and you know it very well. But I'm not going to say that I'm an aficionado. I'm going to say that I'm a connoisseur. How about that? I don't know the difference between those two things, but I'm a connoisseur, not an aficionado, and I don't know a lot about Monkey Shoulder. So I saw this and I thought the name was funny, and I bought it. And look, this is a marketing lesson for all of you, because I'm a marketer by trade, and all of you should learn a marketing lesson. You can call your product anything you want. The name does not matter. Look, this is supposed to be a Scotch that's made in Scotland, where there are no monkeys. There are no monkeys or monkey shoulders in Scotland. And yet, this Scotch is called Monkey Shoulder. And another thing, monkey shoulders are not particularly appetizing. It's not like I go to a 4-star restaurant and I ask the maitre d' over and I say, what is your selection of monkey shoulders this evening? Do you have any monkey armpits either? How about some monkey undertail? No, that's not a particularly tasty animal. And yet they call it monkey shoulder. A substance you were supposed to imbibe and put into your gullet. Monkey shoulder. And it sells. I'm assuming. I bought one. Look, there's 3 monkeys. 3 monkeys. And you can see their shoulders. Into the DK says, what stick are you smoking today? I'm smoking an imported Ashton made by hand cigar. This is my final cigar. I have completely finished the cache that Cigarox sent to me. They were all amazing. Thank you, Cigarox. You are a gentleman and a scholar. My final cigar from that supply, so I figured I would smoke it tonight. Greg Hartung says, monkey shoulder? Is that some sort of regent witches use in potions? It does sound that. 2 eyes from a neutered ent. A little bit of monkey shoulder. That's exactly what it sounds like. Madman Max says, oh wow, he went through those quickly. Not really. I mean, they lasted over 2 weeks. It was 7 or so cigars over 2 weeks. I smoked like 3 a week. Andy the DK says, the marketing world makes monkeys of us all. Yeah. No, I mean, like, just, this is literally, I don't want to say literally, this is actually, I don't want to say actually, this is a good lesson. I don't need to emphasize it any more than that. This is a good lesson for anyone wanting to come up with a piece of software or with their own product. The name isn't important, it's the feeling that that name gives somebody, you know, based on your customer service, based on your thought leadership, based on your branding. These guys said, we like monkeys, and we like shoulders. We're going to name our product Monkey Shoulder. They could have just as equally named it Monkey Butt Flap, or something like that, right? And it would probably sell amazingly. Greg Harden says, he's mocking me. He says, I don't want to say a lesson. It's a lecture. I don't want to say lecture. It's a tip. I don't want to say tip. Yes, well, call me an elitist if you want, but there are some descriptive words that I feel are unnecessary in common gentlemanly dialogue. I don't know what I'm doing. Blacktiff says, I have some coffee called the Black Death. That literally killed thousands of people. I don't know how many people did the plagues of the Middle Ages kill. Is it in the millions? I don't know. But it literally killed. There I go. I'm saying literally again. I've been watching a lot of Parks and Rec lately, so my apologies. But it killed at least thousands of people. And yet they're naming drinks after it. Millions, says Madman Max. Well, you would know you are in the land thereabouts. Millions? The Black Death? Okay. Blacktiff says it was a third of the population of the world at the time. Let's just call it bubonic brew. How about that? Yes, I will have an ounce of your bubonic brew. Okay. It's your funeral. Look at that. And that's because it's just a little dry. I haven't been storing it wisely. This is my fault. It's no fault of the cigar manufacturer. Although it's splitting all the way down underneath the wrapper as well. I don't know. But this means that I just haven't been keeping it correctly. It's a little dry. It's still really tasty though. Wait, I got all excited about my monkey shoulder and I didn't pour myself any. This is the only glass I have. I am not hobo enough to drink right out of the bottle. Not when Scotch is concerned. Maybe a dark beer, but not Scotch. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Bottoms up. Woo. If that's what monkey shoulders taste like, I will have one extra crispy, please. Mm. It's very smooth. It's very smooth for a blended Scotch. Rooted in malt whiskey history and inspired by the malt men who still turn the malting barley by hand, Monkey Shoulder is blended in small batches from 3 of Speyside's finest single malt whiskies to achieve a smoother, richer taste. Oh, and here we go. A malt man's skill is demonstrated as he turns the malting barley by hand. Years ago, some maltmen would develop a strain injury in their arms known as monkey shoulder. Thankfully, the condition no longer exists. Well, here's to all of the men suffering from monkey shoulder, ladies and gentlemen. You are memorialized by this fine beverage. Oxhorn approves. What does it taste like? Any underlying flavor? Look, I know it kind of sounds cliche, but honey. I'm really tasting strong notes of honey. It's got a sweetness to it. It's like a sweet honey flavor. It's really tasty. A fine companion for this delicious cigar this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Greg Hartung says, honey? Is it like mead? No. It is definitely a Scotch. It's got that bite to it, that sort of punch in the back of your throat that Scotch should have. It's not like a beer or a honey beer at all, but it does have a honey-like flavor to it. Andy the DK says, I remember the good old Kraken days before you moved to Seattle, Oxhorn. Indeed, the good old Kraken days when my brother would come and co-host this show with me every week. Good days, those good days. He was a fan of the Kraken. It's so funny now, back during the show, I would struggle to make sure he didn't drink too much Kraken. And now he doesn't drink at all. Now that he's a husband and a father, he'll come over, like the last time he came to co-host the show with me, he took one sip of scotch, and he was feeling it. The poor guy. He doesn't drink at all anymore. And you know what? Kudos to him. He's got an amazing life going on right now. Andy the DK asks, do you enjoy moonshine Oxhorn? Look, as ashamed as I am to admit it, I don't drink moonshine. My wife is from Kentucky. She has grown up around people who drink moonshine. At least they used to. They don't anymore. And yet I don't believe I've even ever tried it. So my answer to that question is no, I've never tried moonshine. The old timers are chiming in. Greg Hartling says, no, drunk Brian was the best Brian. Dwayne says, I remember he used to drink the whole bottle. Look! My brother never got drunk on camera. You can rewatch old episodes if you don't believe me. He never got drunk on camera. Now, maybe he did become a little less guarded with his words. Okay, I'll give you that. Maybe he did become more humorous, and he was good to have on the program. All right, I'll give you that. But drunk? Never. Not my classy brother, no. Blytuff says, I grew up in the swamps of Louisiana. Moonshine was a staple. I would try it. I would definitely try it, but it's not a staple in my house bar. Don't forget the St. Patrick's Day episode, says Imagine Justin. How could I forget? I mean, what are you talking about? That was a great episode, man. Great episode. Loved it. Mr. Tumnus says, Master Ox, I am not a Scotch nor an alcohol drinker, but I've been entertaining a bottle to aid in my unwinding at nights nowadays. Any recommendations which I should give a shot to first? Well, that's a great question. It's a loaded question. Alcohol is not something you do. Well, okay, so I don't need to say this. You're all responsible class of people here, but alcohol is not something you do as a crutch or as an emotional issue. It's just something you do with friends as a social thing, or in very small moderation when you're unwinding at night, as you just suggested. So 1 nice ounce of scotch and you're good to go. A good place to start is, whatever your tastes are. If you like something a little sweeter, a little darker, it's kind of a little bit more syrupy, then I would suggest a nice rum. A spiced rum in particular. It's going to be strong, don't get me wrong, it's going to be strong, but it's really tasty. Kraken is a really good dark spiced rum. Sailor Jerry is a good spiced rum. You could try Captain Morgan's. I haven't been too fond of Captain Morgan's, but it's alright. They have a few, they've got a variety of different brands of spiced rum, and I've only tried a few, so maybe you could find one that you like. Scotch is going to be like putting a campfire in your mouth. That's the hallmark of Scotch. It really tastes peaty, smoky. And sometimes you'll find interesting blends that taste like honey and fruit and flowers and all sorts of things. Now, my palate is very burnt. Not because of cigars, but because of a surgery I had when I was a child, and I can no longer smell things like I used to, so I only get the faintest of flavors from Scotch these days. Few people like Scotch. My wife does not like Scotch. Most people I know do not like Scotch. A few of my coworkers like Scotch. My boss likes Scotch, to his credit. In fact, when they hired me, they flew me down to San Diego. We worked at the office. Then they took me to a Scotch bar, and it had like 38 different types of Scotches, or like 138, or something crazy like that. And we ironed out the terms of my contract in a good old-fashioned gentleman's agreement over Scotch. It was great. That's one of the reasons I said yes, is because they wooed me over Scotch. Greg Hartime says, as a man who distinctly remembers his first taste of Scotch, which happened on this fine program. Thank you very much. That description is more than apt. I'm glad. Cigar X says, hate to be a party pooper, but it's fan art time, and indeed you're correct. Thanks for keeping me honest. Let's get this show on the road. Are we already 30 minutes into the program? Good grief, what's wrong with me? I get to rambling these days. Oxhorn in his old age gets to rambling on the Scotch and smoke rings. But here we go. We've got some fan art. Oh, that's right! I forgot. I've got 3 screens now. Remember this happened last week. So I've got these programmed things. Let's see what happens. Left screen. Okay, left screen kind of works. But where is it? Is it... Where... There. Oh, no! No! It's completely messed up. No. Come on. Is there like a corner of this where I can put it and it... No, it's just completely... Okay, maybe if I choose right screen? Nope, that's not working either. Whoa! It kind of works. There we go. Okay. Oh, no, that's not it. That's not what's going on. Oh, my computer's... Whoa! Alright, here, let's, Sorry, I know this is less entertaining for you than it is for me. Well, let's go through some of this. Ghoulbreath says, went right to pets. You can tame Kodos in Legion. That's excellent news. Matt Ezel is sharing with us the bacon iron. Thank you very much. Apparently I'm chaotic neutral, according to Holker Rubin. What your beard says about your D&D alignment. Alright, well I should probably take that quiz. And then we're back to posts from last week. Let me refresh the Facebook page. Is there anything new that maybe I didn't catch? No, and it doesn't appear so. So, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the sort of chintzy way we went about getting that online, or on the program, but there you go. Imagine Justin says, Oxhorn, what is the word for beginner cigar smokers who get overwhelmed by stronger cigars? Well, I hate to use the phrase noob. Just beginners. Aspirants, that's a good word. They are cigar aspirants. Blagtiff says, I meant to post a story about a man who legally changed his name to Cheeseburger, but I didn't have time before the show. I think that's the whole story right there. So, that's weird. Changed his name to Cheeseburger. Must be a, what's that fictional character that loves cheeseburgers? Robin2258 is on the program and says, hello. Hello, Robin2258. Glad to have you on the program yet again. Always a pleasure to have you here. Madman Max says, Cigarlings. That's a good one. Very Jedi-esque. But Cigarlings. It works. From Popeye, says Madman Max. That's right. Wimpy. Wimpy liked cheeseburgers. I would gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. He would gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. It's like a musical, but about hamburgers. It's wonderful. Okay, we have recorded messages on the program today. First on the show is Madman Max. You're on the program. What's on your mind, good sir?
Greetings, Oxhorn. It is I, Madman Max here, once again, to ask you for another story, as last week's was such a hit. Today, there are no rules. It can be real or fake or something in between, mixing worlds.
Another story?
So, go as long as you wish, as long as it's over 5 minutes.
Oh no.
So then that way we get a nice long story for you once again.
Oh no.
Have a nice evening, Oxhorn, and enjoy your scotch.
Thank you, Madman Max. Everything about you is long. Your smoke ships are long, and you request long stories. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do a 5-minute story. I'll tell you a short story. How about that? We'll compromise. It'll be a short story. Let's make a story about hamburgers. Alright? A short story about hamburgers. There was once a young boy who worked in a hamburger factory. And he got up every morning and he put on his peasant shoes. And he put on his peasant apron, which is different from a non-peasant apron. And he put on his nice cloth cap. And he walked a mile to the local hamburger factory where they made hamburgers. And he stored his belongings in his locker, and he went to the burger-making factory floor, and he started making burgers. And he took the ground chuck, and he molded it into a patty. And then he put it on a grilling machine. And it was wonderful, and it was beautiful. And he tasted his work, and it was savory and delicious. And then he made a bunch of them, and he watched with pride as they went down the conveyor belt, and they were packaged up by other people in the factory and shipped off to restaurants and people's homes where they could enjoy these delicious hamburgers. And he felt a great sense of pride in his work, even though he was but a young boy. And then one day he came to work, and there was a robot standing there with a spatula in his hand, flipping burgers. And his boss came to him and said, "Look there, Ronnie." His name was Ronnie. I don't know why. His name was Ronnie. He said, "Look there, Ronnie. We don't need you anymore. We've got these burger flipping machines, and they can flip burgers faster than you. And their burgers use less meat, which saves on product, which means we're making more money. So you can go on home. We don't need you to work on this anymore, so see you later." And Ronnie was, of course, devastated because he loved making burgers. This was his dream job ever since he was like 7, being 14 now as a boy. Yes, this is a story promoting child labor, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, ever since he was a child, he had wanted to be a burger flipper, and he took such pride in making his wonderful burgers, and he was just heartbroken to see these machines making these burgers. But he was a quick thinker. He had a wit. And he said, "Hold on there, Mr. Man. I have a proposition for you." He said, "I want a blind taste test." And the man said, "What do you mean a blind taste test?" And the boy said, "Listen, Mr. Man, we are about quality at this burger-making establishment, and I propose that these machines do not make burgers that are up to the same quality as I would make, as the craftsman that I am." And the man said, "Fine. I will accept your challenge." So, little Ronnie sat on one end of the table, and the burger flipping machine, I'm imagining a Protectron from Fallout 4 as the machine, with a spatula in hand, wearing a chef hat, flipping burgers. That's what's in my imagination right now. They faced each other. They faced off against each other, sitting at a table, and they had a hot plate in front of them, and they had a ground chuck. And the man said, "Ready, set, go!" And the burger flipping machine took like an ounce of beef and used a spatula and flattened it out. And, in the meanwhile, Ronnie is carefully taking a handful of ground chuck and molding it. And then he set it down gingerly, and he watched as it sizzled. And the outside got a little dark and a little brown and crispy. And then he sliced into it a little bit with the spatula, and he peeked inside, and it was still a little pink on the inside, which is just how he liked it. And the fat was kind of burning off just a little bit, which made it sizzle and it glint at the light. Whereas the machine just pressed down on it with the spatula. All the fat was squeezed out, and before you knew it was like a millimeter thin, and it was cooked on one side. And he flipped it over, and it was cooked on the other side. And 30 seconds later, he's done. And Ronnie is still at work. And the guy, Mr. Man, says, Ronnie, come on, the robot is already done. And Ronnie says, wait a minute, this was not a timed contest. This was a taste contest. This is about taste, not about timing. And so Mr. Man says, all right, do what you got to do. So Ronnie finishes his burger, and he puts it on a bun, and he's got a nice little square of cheddar cheese laid there on top, and he hands it to Mr. Man. Whereas the machine just kind of put it on a white roll and stuck a little thing of lettuce on it with maybe a little parsley and way too many vegetables and gave it to Mr. Man. Mr. Man, he takes a bite of the machine-made hamburger and he chews it and he says, my hunger is satisfied. And then he takes Ronnie's handmade burger. It fills his entire fist. And he can barely contain himself because he already realizes in his mind that it looks much more appetizing. But he needs to make a profit on these things. So he takes a bite and he chews it and he tastes it. And he realizes, oh my gosh, what have I done? This masterpiece made by this 14-year-old boy is the best burger he had ever tasted. What that robot was spitting out was horrible and disgusting. But what this boy had made with his two hands was amazing. And the guy said, young man, oh Ronnie, I have learned the error of my ways, and yet I can't change my decision. I have to move towards robots because I can't afford to pay a bunch of artists like you, because you are truly an artist. But as a businessman, I just can't pay an artist like you to hand make these burgers for me anymore. And Ronnie says, you know what? I respect the difficulty that you have to deal with, but I have a proposition for you. Hire me to program these robots and give me the authority to hire robot technicians. And I will turn all of your robots into master burger craftsmen like me, based upon my skill set, so that you will still get the productivity of your robots, and yet your burgers will not stink to high heaven and back. And the man, his eyes lit up, and he said, yes, Ronnie, I will do that. You are hired. You now manage this entire factory. Do what you got to do. For the next month and a half, Ronnie sat down. He opened up all of the booklets for all of the robots. He learned how the robots work inside and out. And he saved the jobs of all of the other burger makers at the factory. Because even though they were no longer making burgers, he trained them on how to be robot technicians. And they kept all of the robots in functioning order. They kept an eye on them, and they oiled the little gears in the sprockets, and they would tell the robots jokes during the off hours to keep them entertained, and stuff like that, keeping them all gainfully employed. At the end of a month and a half, he had programmed all of the robots to be master burger craftsmen, just like he was. And they did another taste test, and the man couldn't tell the difference between the one made by the robot, programmed by Ronnie, and the one made by Ronnie. The programming was that good. And so the company went on to package all of these robot-made burgers that were still delicious, and Ronnie saved the jobs of all of his friends, and he still was a gainfully employed young man. He climbed the ranks within his company, and he created a legacy for himself. So the moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen, is that corporations are not necessarily bad. They're businesses that need to make a living. They've got decisions to make. And the best way is not to get in their faces with protests and not shaving your armpits and waving bras and setting things on fire. The appropriate response is to think with clarity and wisdom and to use your wit and find ways to make everybody happy, to keep the human jobs and to keep the company productivity. To rise above your station in life and to become something greater, not to drag everything around you down to your level so that you can eke out a living. That is the story of Ronnie the Burger Flipper. That was 5 minutes, wasn't it? Gosh, what have I done? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. 5 whole minutes gone by. This program isn't about me telling stories, it's about me smoking. Let's get back to that. Alright, here we go. Oh, for 17. All for 17 says, so this was a story about yourself when you were 14. No. When I was 15 is when I got my first job, and it wasn't it wasn't burgers. It was burritos. I worked at Taco Bell. That was my very first job. I made burritos. Of course, I wasn't a very good burrito craftsman, so the company learned very quickly that I was better talking than I was working with my hands. So they put me at the drive-thru window, and I spent 2 years of my life working a drive-thru window at Taco Bell. My first job, I learned a lot. Don't forget to drink, says Dwayne. You, sir, are a gentleman and a scholar. Cheers. The Bancy Fadger says, Oxhorn, you're a legend. I'm truly speechless. Consider making this a regular segment. I don't know if I can pull this out of my head every week. I mean, every week I'm literally pulling this out of my head. I don't know how long I can continue this. You'll note that both stories were about some sort of red meat, whether it's pig or cow. They're both excellent meats. There are only so many meats in the world. So when I run out of meats, does that mean I run out of stories? Greg Hartung says, can we contribute with topics? Yes, that would actually help me out a lot. I'm much better when people set a stage for me, and then I can sort of riff on that. Madman Max Turn 1 says, pork is white. Yes, but it's considered a red meat, isn't it? Is it considered red meat? I mean, it's got blood in it. I don't know these things. Shouldn't ask me. Blacktiff says no, pork is considered white meat. Okay, well, I didn't work in a pork factory as a child, so you can see how little I know about the butchering industry. I thought pork was a red meat. My apologies. I guess I do like white meat, certain white meats. Imagine Justin says, Oxhorn, your new segment of the show, Story Time with a Classy Gentleman, where he tells stories and drinks scotch. Yes. This is where we're going now, isn't it? That's okay. I don't mind. I'm having a good time. Blackdiff says, I've butchered a few hogs in my life, most of them wild. Well, you are from Louisiana. And there are wild hogs in Louisiana. I, on the other hand, am from Seattle. There are no wild hogs in Seattle, I can promise you that. If you are looking to escape the wild hogs of your life, move to Seattle. You will find none. Captain Maximov says, lies! We all know you worked at a pork factory. Haha. My secret is out. Is it really $7.50? Look how much cigar I have left to smoke. This is what I get for talking too much. Alright, let's take the band off here. Maybe that'll help it go by faster. Ashton. It's a good cigar, I have to admit, even though it was cracked there at the beginning, as you can see, because it's a little ratty there at top. It's an excellent cigar. Blackdiff says, I moved to Texas a few years ago when I met my wife. They still have hogs here too. Ghoulbreath says, I love alligator, and Blackdiff says alligator tail is good if it's fried right. Look. I've never tried alligator. My dad did. I remember we went to Florida once, and we went to an alligator farm. And this was the 90s, before the world became too terribly politically correct. It was getting there. It was on its way. But it wasn't quite there yet. And so at the time, they had alligator wrestling. This was a family park, an alligator park. And they had alligator wrestling. And my dad went in there, and he wrestled an alligator. In the 70s, before I was born, my mom tells me stories of my dad wrestling a bear. Yeah, this was in Alaska. Was it Alaska? I think it was Alaska. This was in Alaska, and they had stage boxing fights with bears. And my dad fought a bear. They've got pictures of it. They showed me the photographs. They still have them. I should show them to you sometime. My dad was amazing. Anyway, he fought a bear. But then when I was a kid, I distinctly remember him wrestling an alligator in this alligator park. And I'm sitting there as a child watching my father wrestle this alligator going, wow, my dad he's like a superhero. And then we go down there and they're serving alligator steaks or alligator on a stick or something like that. And he's sitting there eating this alligator. And I've always, when it comes to food, I don't try new things. I know what I like, and I like bacon and eggs and cheese and steak and some pastas, and that's what I eat. I don't try new things. I'm happy where I'm at. But my dad tried new things, and my brother's the same way. My brother tries new things. He loves all sorts of new things. And they were eating this alligator, and I refused to taste it. I did not try the alligator. They all raved about it. They said it was great. But I didn't try it. But my dad was a bear and alligator wrestler who ate alligator scales for fun. And here I am in a bowler hat smoking a cigar. Don't resemble my dad much. That's going to tell you that. Imagine Justin says, wait a minute, did the story come from the video that was called We Eat Flesh, one of your machinima movies, Oxhorn? I think, no, that was a different story. That was a story about a family-run bacon shop where hippies outlaw bacon or something, and then the father dies of a broken heart. And then the son takes over the family stand, We Eat Flesh, and manages to make it legal again. I guess that was the We Eat Flesh video. By the way, that's the most controversial movie I ever published. This was 2008. I'm sitting there trying to come up with new ideas for machinima. I created the Invisible Pink Unicorn, which I thought at the time was going to be the controversial one, and it was. People got upset. And then I create We Eat Flesh on a whim. Mainly because my coworker at the time, Jeff Gornt, whom you all remember, said that he hated the word flesh. He thought it was a disgusting word. And he says, don't refer to food as flesh, because that's just nasty. And to give him a hard time, I named this movie We Eat Flesh, which he just abhorred. He hated the name. And then I publish it, and I kind of, move on. But that's the movie that gets all of the emails and the angry messages on YouTube and all of the online machinima review blogs saying, Oxhorn has really jumped shark. He made this horrible movie about eating bacon. I'm sitting there like, what? Really? This is the movie you guys are going to get offended about? All right, that's fine. I'm moving on. Goldbreath says, I had alligator on a Boy Scout campout, actually, and I live in New England. How'd they get alligator in New England? That's some crazy import right there. Mr. Tumnus says, my sincerest apologies to you, Master Ox and friends. The little ones are calling, and I must call it an early night. Thank you for coming, Mr. Tumnus. I'm just glad you were here. Take care of your babies. Have a good one. Old for 17 says, a waste of good fish after the credits. Yeah, I know. That fish had a life well past its death. I bought it. It became my red snapper. And it became a celebrity for a short period of time. All day we filmed with that dead fish, and I tried to get all my coworkers to take a nibble, but none of them would. And then it started to bubble up. Like the eyeballs started to puff out and stuff. Yeah, I threw it away. I feel bad about it to this day. It's a waste of a good fish, but by the end of the shoot, who's going to cook up and eat a fish that's been walked around the office all day in the middle of summer? No one. So, the bacteria inside the animal had started to break it down, and I'm not a big fish person, by the way. Goldbreath says, one of the Scoutmasters was a super good chef and had friends all over the country that worked in various kitchens. he got one to send him a frozen chunk of alligator meat. So that's how you got alligator in New England. All right. Greg Hartung says, did the maggots come and beg for a nibble? But no, don't get into maggots. There were no maggots. There were no maggots. Don't get me started on maggots. Or bot flies. How did we get on this topic? Let's move on. Let's stop talking about meat. I don't want to talk about meat anymore. I'm done talking about meat. Something else. I think this all started because I sang, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Is that it? Oh, man. Or would you rather talk about vegetables, says Ghoulbreath? No, I would not rather talk about vegetables. Thank you. Alright, now you guys are purposely trying to gross me out. Greg Hartung, alright, you guys are purposely trying to gross me out. Look, I'm smoking a cigar, and I've written articles about cigar beetles. Do you want me to get into cigar beetles? If you want to get grossed out, I can talk about cigar beetles. Let's not do this. Alright. Alright. If you see one, by the way, let me know. Greg Hartung. Oh my goodness. Alright, how did we get on this topic? Look, there's another... Hey, look at this! Andy the DK has another recorded message. We've been... Andy the DK, you're on the program. Good, sir. What's on your mind? Oh, hold on. There we go.
Greetings, Oxhorn, and hello, everyone in the chat. It is I, Andy the DK. Hope you all are having a fine evening with your cigars and scotch. I would like to apologize to you, Oxhorn, and everyone, and say that I am now postponing quick fire questions, at least for a while, because I find that Ox, picking your brain and asking you questions, especially last week, was very informative, and I really enjoyed asking you a classy question. So from now on, it will be the classy question of the week.
I like it.
So my question this week, Ox, is: do you think class is a lifestyle, or do you think it's more of something that you can be born into, maybe genetically? Do you think, being a well-mannered human being and being someone who, is just a classy gentleman, dresses nice, has that sort of attitude about them, do you think that's something born genetically, or do you think that's something that you can be raised up with? Because in my opinion, I think it is more genetically, to be honest. I think that some people are born with more class and others are just, born with a less class, but maybe can be changed in their lives. Just wanted to pick your brain, Ox. Thank you, and this has been the classy question of the week. Andy the DK signing off. Have a good one, all.
Andy, boy, you really know the topics that I'm interested in, so thank you for that. And thank you for asking that question in all sincerity. And I'm sure that there are many people watching this program right now who have often wondered the answer to that question. I'll tell you what I think, based on just things that I've experienced. I'm no scientist, but this is based on what I've experienced in life. I think that there are classy people among all races, among all nationalities. And so therefore, I do not think that there's a genetic component to class. Class is about culture. Class is about... class is taught. Class is something that does not come naturally. I think that the natural thing is to be unclassy. If we really want to talk about what's natural, vulgarity is natural. Being interested in things that are seen as uncouth is very natural, right? Instinct. There is nothing classy about instinct. When you see dogs out in a park sniffing each other's rear ends and munching on grass, you don't sit there and go, what classy dogs? No, we realize that, they're dogs. They can't help it. It's just instinct. But humans can rise above instinct. We are the only animals on this planet that can actually fight our instincts and become greater than what we instinctively want to do. That means we are the only animals that can aspire towards class. Which means that I don't think that class has anything to do with genetics. It is about worldview. It is about culture. It is about how you are raised. When I take a look at the things that I think are unclassy, they almost always appeal to human vice. Bumper stickers, for example. Let me use an example that I've used in the past. I think bumper stickers are terribly unclassy. And the reason for that is because putting a bunch of bumper stickers on your car appeals to your own ego. It appeals to pride. You're bragging about your honor student. You're bragging about the college that you graduated from. You're bragging about the fact that your son is an Eagle Scout. You're shaming all of the other people that didn't vote for Kerry in '04. Or whatever, right? You are boasting your thoughts from the only place you can. This is your podium. This is your billboard, the back of your car. And you are going to slap all of your thoughts on the back so that people can see that and go, ooh, what a smart person. But of course, we all realize that the opposite is true. Nobody looks at a bumper and sees a sticker and thinks, wow, I never thought of life that way before. Thank you, Toyota, with the toe and the painted out so that it just says yo. Thank you, Toyota, for changing my viewpoint, for giving me something deeper to think about. Nobody does that. They just get mad. If it is a viewpoint that they don't agree with, they don't change. It doesn't shame them into changing. They go, oh, you voted for Bernie Sanders? Wow, I feel really bad for being interested in Hillary. I'm going to change now thanks to that bumper sticker. Thank you, Toyota driver. No, it never works that way. Come on, be realistic. You just get mad. You create divisions because what you're doing is you're trying to promote your own ego. You're trying to talk about how smart you are, how educated you are. These are my opinions. I'm putting them all over my car so that you can just see how amazing I am. That stems from a lack of class. It stems from instinct. The instinct you have to one-up your neighbor. The instinct you have to stand from a rooftop and, talk about how amazing you are. Those are all base instincts, and the classy person fights against base instincts. The classy person is so secure in his or her own beliefs that he doesn't have to put a bumper sticker about them on the back of his car. The back of his car just says Chevy. If that, the back of his car just says Honda. If that. You want to know the back of a car that doesn't have bumper stickers on it, but is from a person who might not be the classiest of people? No, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to say that brands of car are unclassy or classy because that's irrelevant. But driving in humility is an aspect of a classy person. And the same is true when it comes to dress. When you dress in $300 sneakers and they're situated just so that the tongue is pulled out just a little bit and it's kind of puffy, and then you buy those special laces that where you don't see the laces, they just kind of clip onto each other, and then that little tongue flap at the back that you normally use to put the shoe on, it kind of sticks out, and it's an odd color, and then maybe you've got an outline of Michael Jordan on it, right? These are my sneakers, and I paid $300 for these sneakers, and don't you dare scuff my sneakers because these things are really expensive, and I'm wearing them on my feet, and sometimes when I walk a certain way, they light up. Isn't that amazing? Look, those are not classy sneakers. Come on, you are being vain. You are showing off your wealth. You are showing off your lack of class by walking around in those sneakers. You want to know a pair of shoe wear that is classy? Something people don't notice, right? But the thing is, and this isn't something you're going to want to do, people will notice it because it is not noticeable. You're going to stand out because you're trying not to stand out. And sometimes I suppose you could say that you're being unclassy because you're trying to stand out by not trying to stand out, but now we're just getting into a word of hyperbole, and I don't want to get there. Greg Hartung says, rant alert, rant alert. This is what happens. This is what happens when you ask me questions about things that I'm passionate about. And of all the things to be passionate about, why class? I've often thought that the least classy among us are those who talk about class, and here I am talking about class. But if you want to learn about class, read a book called Class by Fussell, Fussel. You can get it for like $3 on Amazon. It's not long. It can be kind of thick to get through, but it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. And it'll change your viewpoint on class. And I think it'll help you understand the psychological underpinnings behind the decisions we make that broadcast to the world. How classy we are or are not. Andy the DK says, "What grinds my gears?" featuring Oxhorn. Yeah. Greg Hartling says, "Look, there's a bumper sticker that says, 'I wish Morgan Freeman narrated my life.' Is that egotistical?" I mean, that's a mild bumper sticker, but what it does show is it shows off your sense of humor, and it shows that these are the kinds of popular culture that I really enjoy. First of all, to understand this, you need to know who Morgan Freeman is. Then you need to understand the online jokes that are constantly talking about Morgan Freeman narrating over all these different things. And then you can appreciate the bumper sticker that I've got and realize that you and I are on the same wavelength. And all the people who don't get it, well, you don't have to get it, and I don't care if you get it. Psychological underpinnings, ladies and gentlemen. Psychological underpinnings. Greg Hartung says, "Well, now that we've got that out of the way, yeah, all right. I'm done. No more ranting about class." But thank you for the question, Andy the DK. I do appreciate it. I like your new segment, by the way. This week in technology. The first 3D bioprinter that can print body parts for large-scale human implantation has been built. I can already see a world where we have 3D printers in our homes and we download body part mods from the internet to print in our homes and then take to surgeons to place on us. I am horrified by a future of anime conventions whereby people show up with wings surgically implanted onto their shoulder blades that they printed after downloading the plans off the internet. Oh dear. Oh dear indeed. The imagination. Whoa. Alright, let's move on. This week in communication. An Indian company develops a smartphone that sells for less than $4. Great. Bring it on. I love competition. That is capitalism at work, ladies and gentlemen. This week in computing. A new terahertz transmitter lets individuals surf the internet at up to 10 gigabits per second, so that they can download very large 3D printed biomods. Never mind. Very large? Never mind. This week in communications. Google's high-speed internet delivering balloons are deployed in Sri Lanka and subsequently crash during a test flight. You gotta start somewhere. You gotta start somewhere. Blythe says, "My 1-year-old daughter woke up. Can you give Regina a shout-out, Oxhorn?" Shout out to you, Regina. Pleasure to have you on the program. Little 1-year-old, hi there. This is probably the first cigar-smoking weirdo you've ever seen. But hello there to you, Blacktop's little girl. This week in physics. China announces 3 new groundbreaking gravitational wave projects. But that doesn't really give me much to go on. I need to know more details. Like, what kind of gravitational wave projects? What's the end result? What is the user application? I am curious. This week in space! Kepler discovers a rocky planet bigger than scientists ever thought possible. Ooh, now that is interesting. Because typically, we think rocky planets only grow within a certain AU, astronomical unit, away from their host sun. And the reason for that is because the host star that they're all orbiting, is so hot that it burns off all the volatiles, all the liquids that turn into gases, so that all that's left is the rocky part of the planet. So they think that a rocky planet can only grow to be so big and can only be so close to the host star. And yet to find one that is bigger than scientists ever thought means that scientist is growing, or it's that science is evolving. And that's good. We're learning things. I like it. Cigarox says it's called the Goldilocks Zone. Indeed, it's called the Goldilocks Zone. This week in medicine, over 50% of terminally ill blood cancer patients experience complete remission during a new T-cell cancer therapy. 50% is a big number. I'm pleased about that. Let's kick the tush of cancer, if you pardon my language. Cancer is... it's nasty. It's nasty stuff. This week in neuroscience, researchers repair severed neuron connections using ultra-short laser pulses. Wow. So you like singe them a little bit and then the body repairs them on its own due to the damage? Cool. This week in medicine, researchers developed a functioning miniature replica of the human brain from skin cells. Wait. A functioning human replica? Are you saying that you've created a mind? Like, if it's functioning, does it think? That's interesting. Like, how do they determine functioning? Does it just light up when you shove electricity in it? Boop, 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 like little LEDs? LEDs? Oh. Aeroskva says, Dear Oxhorn, with all the sadness I can muster in my voice, I must bid your stream goodbye. For it is too late to be awake in Europe when some people will be getting up for work soon, actually. But should there be a chance, I will be glad to tune in again. Good night to you and all the nice folk in this stream. Enjoy your evening. And then Arrow ends with a deer with hearts on its head. I guess that's like a happy face. Arrow, pleasure to have had you in the stream. I am so gratified when my European friends from across the pond can tune into this fine program. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:15, and I don't think I can get to Hearthstone. If I tried, it would be half-hearted. It would be a half-hearted attempt to play a game, and I don't want to half-heart anything, because according to Ron Swanson, you never half-heart things, you whole-heart one thing. And yes, I realize, well, never mind. So, I suppose we should move on to smoke ships. So then, smoke ships. The Fancy Badger says that I wrote you a bit of a boat for this evening, Oxhorn. Well, good. I look forward to it. Madman Max looks like he's eager for smoke ships. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. For those unfamiliar with this segment of the program, I blow into existence a ship based upon your instructions. You are the creative source, and I am simply the fuel. Let us make together this smoke ship a reality. What is on your mind, ladies and gentlemen? Imagine Justin says, wait a moment, what about your book, The Tale of Cloran Hastings? Yes, it burned to the ground, but it's... Oh, look at that! That's in one piece, kind of. The Tale of Cloran Hastings, it's a little singed. It was in my car that blew up, but there it is. The Tale of Cloran Hastings, ladies and gentlemen. A rip-roaring sea adventure authored by these 10 stubby fingers. For people of all ages, CloranHastings.com. Get a copy for yourself or for somebody you love or hate. Alright, here's one from Fancy Badger. Oh, Cigar Alex says, it's a hot read. This is from Fancy Badger. Oxhorn and Greg Hartung get into a burger flipping contest to determine the fate of Azeroth, because of course that would be a thing. But they settle their differences by talking about gentlemanly cigars. They go into business together and become entrepreneurial billionaires. Alright, I'm with you on that. And with Ox even able to return to Machinima one day. Oh. Greg Hartung suggests they craft a mighty battleship and invite all the fans. Greg Hartung suggests they craft a... Oh, and okay. And that's the same sentence. The ship is armed with sails made from night elf sails. And this is where the ship comes in. Crossbows that shoot cigars. Alright, I like it. Cannons that launch bacon-wrapped balls of bacon. And 10-foot-tall cheeseburgers. And cannons powered by Scotch, which can turn anything into a cigar. Hey, if we're billionaires from our cigar crafting empire, then of course we can make, you know, Scotch-fueled bacon ball cannons. Because why not? We're billionaires. That Donald Trump, he doesn't know what to do with his money. He should give it to me so that I can make Scotch-fueled cannons that shoot bacon balls. Chief Smash says, as the cigar starts to smolder, and Scotch has got us feeling bolder, thus the day grows ever older, the sun sinks down, the seas grow colder, and we sail on waves of monkey shoulder. You guys never cease to amaze. Thanks for keeping things topical there, Chief Smash. Love the rhymes there. Love the rhymes. Imagine Justin says, here's a small smoke ship. A smoke-covered ship, sailing on the waters of Azeroth, as it would ride off into the morning sun, as Oxhorn and the gang enjoy syrup-covered waffles, with bacon, sausages, bacon-wrapped bacon balls wrapped in bacon, with a bit of whiskey and orange juice combined together. Wow, that is the breakfast of champions. If I were a billionaire, I would eat that for breakfast every day, and then get it surgically removed from me over lunch every day, because it's probably bad for me. Money making money. You guys are so creative. Alright. Any other smoke ship ideas? The Bancy Badger says a nice fleet of ships tonight, Oxhorn. Indeed. It's going to be hard to choose. Oh, and Madman Max sent me one over Skype. Okay. Here's Madman Max's smoke ship. Oxhorn sat in a dinghy out in the middle of the sea, all alone trying to capture a glance at the very rare black-finned red snapper. As dawn started in the sky, a light purple meaning it meant that something special was going to happen while he was watching the sky with his rod in the water, patiently waiting as the wind picked up quickly and the temperature dropped even faster than the wind picked up. Okay, I got you there. All right. The clouds started to move in an odd fashion and turned into what looked like a band. As the clouds formed into one long cloud, he looked up at it, and it spiraled and became a perfect tube of cloud, or cyclone. Oxhorn put his fishing rod down and flew up 2 kilometers into the sky. Because I have bird form, for those who do not play World of Warcraft, Oxhorn is a druid and can transform into birds. That's why he flew up 2 kilometers into the sky to see several of these perfectly formed clouds. Oxhorn's eyes slowly leaked tears. Or to say it another way, Oxhorn cried. He leaked tears from the perfection of nature, looking down and enjoying the sight of perfection he had never noticed before from the ground, and going back to his dinghy, watching the clouds slowly burn away as the sun rose higher in the sky after hours of fishing, and he finally caught the blackfin red snapper, and thinking in his vast mind, I should let this mighty fish go, so it can be perfect like nature intended it for it to be. Wow, he's really challenging his inner druid with this one. He let it go and watched it swim off, smiling as he ate steak and bacon in a steak sandwich. There was a lot of good wrapped up in that Madman Max. Imagine Justin says, I get the feeling that all of the smoke ships we've created over the years will come by at our greatest moment when the elves take over Thunderbluff or Orgrimmar and such. Wouldn't that be great? Blizzard creates a patch, and if Thunderbluff is ever attacked by the Alliance, all of Oxhorn's smoke ships from his program Scotch and Smoke Rings appear in the sky and sail in to defend the ailing city. I wouldn't want to fight them, that's for sure. Okay, really hard one for me today. There are so many good ones, it's hard to choose. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go with the Fancy Badger, because I don't believe I've done one from him in quite some time. Plus, I like the idea of crossbows with cigars as ammo, and Scotch-fueled cannons shooting bacon balls. That's just beautiful. Alright, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Smoke chip time. Pay close attention, because if you blink, you will miss it. Whoa! Did you see it? It was right there. I'll describe it to you in case you missed it. Before your eyes, you saw Oxhorn and Greg Hartung getting into a burger flipping contest to determine the fate of Azeroth, but they settled their differences and instead talked about gentlemanly cigars. They went into business together. This is all depicted in the smoke, by the way. I hope you're paying attention. And they became entrepreneurial billionaires, with Oxhorn even able to return to Machinima. Greg Hartung suggests that they craft a mighty battleship and invite all the fans on board. The ship, of course, is armed with sails made from night elf skin, crossbows that shoot cigars, and cannons that launch bacon-wrapped bacon balls wrapped in bacon. With 10-foot-tall cheeseburgers and cannons powered by Scotch, which can turn anything into cigars. Imagine Justin says, I saw it! The Red Jaeger says, amazing! The Fancy Badger says, I saw the boat in all its majesty. Big Stacks 2 says, wow! Chief Smash says, I saw it too. It was quite clear. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, those of you watching on YouTube, you can't deny the chorus from your peers. There it was, in the smoke, right before you. A piece of art. Andy the DK says, great show this evening. I shall see you all next week. I bid you all a very fond farewell, and be sure to stay classy. Cigar says, this has been episode 343, full of monkey shoulders and hamburgers. And you have to watch from the beginning to understand exactly why. Because that's true. It was filled with monkey shoulders and hamburgers. Oh, that's great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this week's episode 343 of Scotch and Smoke Rings. Be sure to tune in next week. Same Ox time, same Ox channel, twitch.tv/Scotch and Smoke Rings, all one word. And as you go to bed this evening, and kiss your loved ones goodnight, and tuck in your babies, and slip into your slippers, and don your smoking robe, and sit down to a gentlemanly dinner of eggs and bacon by a campfire. I hope you think of classy things, of higher things. I hope you think about fighting your mundane, natural human instincts, and aspiring to something greater. And I hope you come in next week, which I already said. Be sure, my friends, to stay classy. Cheers! Good evening.